Hi guys, and thank you for tuning in. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Today I want to talk about why Thai GLs don't necessarily have to end in an absolute happy ending and why I hope the industry will take steps to evolve in its storytelling. Before I start, I want to give a mild spoiler warning as I will be discussing a few examples from series and movies to drive my point home. I hope you enjoy and let us begin. For a long time, I really believed that every Thai GL should end with the couple together, alive, in love, and as clearly endgame. And that belief didn't come from nowhere. A lot of us grew up watching Western queer media where loving another woman almost always came with some kind of punishment. And for me, there were two moments that really drove home this fear. The first was the 100. Clark and Lexa went through so much, and when they finally chose each other, it felt like we were finally allowed to breathe. Like, oh, we're safe now. Their endgame, and then Lexa was killed almost immediately after. It was like the story said, actually no, you don't get that fairy tale. The second was in The Last Tango in Halifax, when they killed off Kate, after she finally married Caroline. I remembered for 2 seasons they struggled as Caroline had to get comfortable with her newfound queer identity later in life, only for the series to kill Kate off, and I believe, if I remember correctly, they did it the day after their wedding, which was so crazy. So when Thai GLs started consistently giving us couples who survived and stayed together and who got their happy endings, it felt like a correction. The genre was saying, we're not going to do that to you. You could go through all the angst, misunderstandings, family drama, and social pressure, knowing that at the end of it all, the girls would make it. You didn't know how they would make it, but you trusted that they could and they would. This sense of safety became one of the biggest reasons people fell in love with Thai GLs in the first place. It became a space where queer women could finally relax instead of bracing for impact. That's why when people talk about ambiguous endings, I completely understand why some fans react so strongly. For a lot of viewers, Thai GLs isn't just entertainment, it's a refuge. It's a space where queer love isn't constantly under threat. So when an ending isn't clearly happy, it can feel like the safe space is being invaded, and it's like something precious is being taken away. And honestly, the instinct to protect it makes so much sense. But at the same time, as the industry grows and becomes more confident, I think it's ready to tell more complicated stories. I'm not saying we should go back to those days when queer women were being killed off left and right. I'm definitely not asking for another Alexa or Kate because trauma for shock value is absolutely not it. What I'm talking about is nuance. Endings that are bittersweet instead of tragic, open instead of cruel, stories that don't always promise forever but still honor the love that existed. And that's why I think MuTeLuv, Hell Is This Luck, Uranus 2324, and Runaway are such great examples. In MuTeLuv, Naya is someone who has spent her whole life believing she's unlucky. She's a smart, hardworking medical student, but she's convinced that no matter what she does, fortune just isn't on her side. So when she changes her number to a quote-unquote lucky one, everything starts shifting. Her career improves, her longtime crush Nine, a man, finally notices her, and then she meets Lemai, a woman who quietly turns her world upside down and makes her question her sexuality and what she actually wants. Na ends up dating both Nine and Limai, not because she's careless, but because she's confused and trying to fit into the life she thought she was supposed to have while being pulled towards something that feels more true. Eventually, the pressure of it all, the sudden quote-unquote good luck, expectations, and the emotional chaos breaks her down, leading her to walk away from both relationships. On the surface, that sounds like a sad ending, but then we get the final scene of the series where 6 months has passed and Na runs into Limai again. There's no dramatic declaration of love, no explicit we're together now, just a moment that clearly says they found each other again when they were finally ready. And that is what makes it so powerful. The story isn't saying love failed, it's saying timing and growth mattered. Na's real happy ending is learning her own worth and finding peace within herself. The romance is left open, but it feels complete. Then there's Uranus 2324, which honestly still hurts in the most beautiful way. Kat and Lynn are bound across space and time. They fall in love in every universe, and in every universe, they're separated. Only Kat remembers all of it. She carries the memories of loving and losing Lynn over and over. By the end, they do reunite, but the story makes it clear that the cycle will continue. They will always find each other and they will always part. It's heartbreaking, yes, but also incredibly romantic. Their love isn't erased by the fact that it can't last. If anything, it's made more intense by it. The film isn't saying this love is pointless. It's saying this love is so powerful it transcends space and time, even if it can't escape it. It's sad, but it's not cruel. It's tender and poetic. It's the kind of story that makes your heart ache in a good way. And then we have Runaway, which takes a much darker route but still proves that ambiguity doesn't have to mean disrespect. Win is being hunted by Jungkwan, a vengeful spirit tied to her past life. She only has 168 hours to live. She meets Boon, who's connected to her karmic fate and is believed to be her soulmate. Together, they try to break the cycle, to make things right and to survive. The entire story builds hope around the idea that love and understanding might be enough. And then in the final moments, we learn the truth. Jungkwan has won. Boon is no longer Boon, as Jungkwan has taken over her body. It's devastating, but it's not saying queer love deserves to suffer. It's saying some battles are bigger than love. The tragedy comes from karma and fate, not from the relationship itself. The emotional journey and the bond Win and Boon formed over the time they spent together still matters. All three of these stories show that you can have closure without having a fairy tale ending. For me, closure in queer storytelling isn't just about couples staying together forever. It's about knowing that what they shared was real, that it changed them, and that it meant something. And honestly, ambiguous endings can sometimes feel more honest than perfect ones. As queer women, we know that relationships don't always work out, even when there's love. Timing is everything, and where you are in life matters. Sometimes you meet the right person at the wrong time, and you have to grow apart before you can grow back together. Sometimes just knowing that two people found each other again is enough. I also think this kind of storytelling opens the door for longer narratives, for multi-season stories that don't have to be wrapped up into a neat bow right away. I would like to reiterate again that I'm advocating for bittersweet stories instead of tragic ones. The difference being that in tragic stories, writers are unnecessarily cruel, where suffering feels like punishment, and in bittersweet stories, something ends but growth comes out of it. It often leaves you sad, but you are also left thoughtful, moved, and changed. That's why MuTeLuv and Uranus 2324 affected me the most. Na's journey towards self-worth and Kat and Lynn's eternal impossible love both show that romance doesn't have to end in forever to be meaningful. I think because of the time we're living in, the world feels heavy and people are tired. So we crave stories that promise happiness no matter what, and Thai GLs do that beautifully. The guarantee of a happy ending is one of its greatest strengths and one of the reasons it feels like such a safe place. But I also believe the genre is now strong enough to hold more than one kind of ending, and it is strong enough to say that love can be real even if it's not permanent. And some stories can end in growth, possibility, and quiet understanding. So in my opinion, not every GL needs to end in a quote-unquote happily ever after. Sometimes we love, we change, and we find each other again, and that is equally as powerful. But yeah guys, let me know in the comments what are your thoughts on GLs and their endings, and what you'd like to see change within GLs as far as storytelling goes. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed my ramblings, I invite you to like and subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye!